Hey there, fellow trekkers. I'm Linda, your park ranger, here to introduce today's adventure. You might hear me in the background as we navigate the trail together. Today, we're setting off on an intermediate hike for Magic School to explore how to create and manage student rooms. Magic School is an AI-powered platform built specifically for educators, helping you save time and spark creativity with ready-to-use tools for lesson planning, differentiation, communication, and more. And today, we're going to teach you how to use their student-facing interface, MagicStudent, to set up custom rooms where you control and create the AI tools they have access to. As you explore, you can keep following the Magic School Trail or blaze a new one. We've mapped out beginner, intermediate, and advanced trails for every level of EdTech hiker, covering a range of powerful classroom technology tools. Can't spot the next landmark on your journey? Check back soon. We're always adding new trails to explore. Even better, subscribe so you never miss a new path to discovery. Lace up your boots. It's time to hit the trail.
All right, so welcome to creating student rooms in Magic School. It's actually called MagicStudent, but we'll get to that. But student rooms is an awesome feature, and it's honestly one of my favorite ways to introduce students to AI in a controlled environment. School AI is very similar, but there is some awesome features of Magic School that we're going to dive into today. So if you don't know me, and I recognize several faces, a lot of people from my part of the state, and I love to see that. My name is Emily Flock. I'm a regional EdTech coordinator here at the LTC, and I am in charge of the southern portion of the state. So I'm going to leave my email at the end, even if you're not from my part of the state. If you have questions or you want to connect, I'd be happy to chat with you about Magic School or really anything EdTech. So we're just going to go ahead and dive into the content because we've got an hour and it's going to go by fast, but I want you to feel proficient in student rooms after this session. So here's what our quick agenda is, here is our agenda. The first thing is our purpose. Why should we even be introducing students to AI? And I'm going to give you guys an overview of what is MagicStudent. We're going to do a quick tour of the platform and explore what some of the tools are. And then I'm going to have you guys explore as a student. So that way you're going to see what it's like for the students. And so you can feel comfortable in how to help them navigate through that. And we'll also see the teacher's dashboard. And then the whole point of our tech treks is so that you can actually leave with something. So you're going to create your own room, maybe even customize a tool. Maybe you'll be ready to share your room with students next week. And I'll also show you some moderation tools and how to use some of their pre-made templates because they're pretty powerful. So let's go ahead and dive into why should we introduce students to AI? First of all, it's everywhere. It's integrated into the apps that we use, the content that we consume, and we need our students to be able to use these tools ethically and responsibly. And that is really what is grounded in AI literacy. We need to know what it's good at. We need to know how to prompt. We need to know what it's bad at. So that way we can really use AI to help us with our lives, but also use it with caution so that we are using it responsibly. It can also help us enhance our learning and problem solving. I'll hopefully show you some examples today of how we can actually support our students' learning through these tools. And then, of course, future workforce preparation. It's hard to find professional, especially Fortune 500 companies that aren't using AI. We're starting to see that being a skill that's needed and required for most positions anymore. So that's what we're trying to do, is prepare our students for the workforce. Before you use MagicStudent, I should say it's very important that you kind of ask yourself a few questions. The first one is, does your district have a policy about students using AI? If they're very much against it or you're not ready for this, then maybe you can kind of show them what MagicStudent is, but you do want to make sure that you're following the guidelines of your district. Have you received permission from your administration? Also, you want to look at does your district have a data privacy agreement with Magic School? So I know I called it MagicStudent, but that's in Magic School Suite. So the agreement would actually be with Magic School. So that is required for Illinois SOPA compliance. You also maybe want to consider if you need to receive parent permission, or maybe that's part of your acceptable use policy, but something to consider. And then, of course, has the IT, tech department, tech person, whoever's in charge of that in your district, can or have they made that available to students? So students are going to be able to click on it and not get blocked. If you can answer yes to all those questions, woohoo, you can now use MagicStudent. So now that you can use MagicStudent, we also want to prepare our students so that they're using AI responsibly. This session is not about AI literacy, but I did want to leave you with a few resources, and some of them are Magic Schools, just to kind of help guide you with some lessons and some activities so that you can help cover some of those essential skills and knowledge that students need to be able to navigate the world of AI. Also, prompting basics. Prompting, how do we talk with the chatbot? How do we get AI tools to do what we want them to do? That is a skill that takes time to develop, and we have to help our students develop it. So I have some prompting things in here as well. And then, of course, communicating. What is acceptable use of AI? What's the purpose of your AI use? And letting students and maybe even parents know that you can moderate these inputs. You might even want to consider updating your course syllabus or your classroom rules and procedures to include an AI piece. And again, I have some resources there for you, so that way you don't have to start from scratch. So once you have kind of done like, the check, 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 okay, now we're ready to use it, you can get into the platform. So I wanted to talk to you about what is MagicStudent. Because this is an intermediate track, my assumption here is that you already kind of know what Magic School is. MagicStudent is Magic's student-facing platform. It has 50 AI-powered tools that look very similar to the teacher dashboard. And the best part is that you can assign these tools as you want. So it's kind of a more of a supervised way of approaching AI. So if you only want them to have just the writing feedback tool, you can assign just that. If you want them to have 6 different tools, you assign those 6 and you can customize them. And you can shut them off when you want, and you can make them available when you want. So this allows students to be able to kind of have that, again, kind of controlled environment. And you also get all of their history of their chats. I'll talk more about that and show you some examples here in a little bit. But this can help students study for tests, improve their writing, improve their prompting skills, think creatively, develop their research ideas. They can even debate historical figures and so much more. So what are student rooms? So now we're actually in the room dashboard. So if you get into Magic School, if you want to follow along, you can. I will have you guys do that here in a little bit. But once you get in there on the left-hand side, you would go to MagicStudent and then you would see the tools. But right now we're in the rooms. If you click the rooms, you're going to see all your room names, the tools that are in that room, the active status. All of mine are active right now, but you can shut them off and then your students can't access them. How many students are in it, unread flags, last edited, that type of thing. Again, this allows you to choose and configure those AI tools. And allowing you some teacher insight and transparency. When you click on an individual room, so I'm going to go back one, I actually am going to click on that particular room. That's going to give us even more insights just to that room. First of all, I can see the students in here. I can see their interactions, the last tool that they've used, if they're active or not. I can even shut off specific students if I want to. If some kid has lost his privilege or whatever reason, got in trouble, you can shut them off. Or maybe they're not quite ready for AI use. You can kind of scaffold it too. So you get this kind of dashboard per room as well. You can also manage the room. I'm going to skip over insights for now, but you can also manage the room. This is where you see which tools are actually in that room. So these are the tools that students are going to be able to interact with when they're in that room. And then I have this example here of the writing feedback. That particular tool, I've kind of given you like the behind the scenes of that tool. This actually gives you a screenshot of the customized instructions that I gave the writing feedback tool. So not only do you add these tools, you can just click add a new tool to this room. You can kind of leave it as default and just fill out the bare basics if you want, but you can get really specific on the back end. So for this particular writing feedback tool, I have said, give feedback on this rough draft of this essay. I have the grade level, I have the assignment description, and I've uploaded the rubric that I will use when they're finally done to actually grade this particular essay. So right now, again, we're just using rough draft. but you can customize all of the tools so that they're going to work for you in the way that you need them for your students. So now back to the Insights tab. After you have students in there and after they're interacting, you're going to get this dashboard to kind of see what are they doing in there? Are they using it effectively? Now, I will say this is under beta, so it may not be perfect, but it does give you quite a bit about who's engaged, who's not. It's actually kind of using AI to tell you how engaged they are based on their activity. So very high, moderate, very low. These are some people who are no longer in there. And I can even look to see like their student threads, what their progress is, how much time, and so forth. You can also dive into each student, but I'll show you guys that a little bit later. But I love it that you get this teacher room insights, and everything I've showed you so far is on the free version of Magic School. That's one thing I love about it. Granted, I was just telling Linda, it used to not be this open. So right now we still have access to all these tools on the free version. So I think that's wonderful. So your students are going to have different ways that they can access a room and the tools. So they're going to be able to join a room via a link, Google Classroom, or a join code. I'm going to use a link here in a little bit, but I want you guys to know there are other options. The students will be able to view the tools you have assigned, just like you're going to see here in a little bit. You're going to see those 6 tools. And then students can also view their output history and continue their threads. So they could use this for like a week and then come back a week later if you still have the room active. So we're going to go ahead and try this. So how to share a room with students. I told you there are 3 ways after you have created one. You can use a join URL, Google Classroom, or a join code. And so I'm actually going to drop this into the chat. If you are on a separate computer, you probably want to add the slides because I don't have a shortened URL to join this. So you'll want to click the link from the chat. So once you click that link, you're going to see that it asks for a name. Please put in a fake name or just your first name. So I'm just going to put in Emily, and then I'm going to join the room. So this is where your students can stay anonymous. So that way you have some of that data privacy in there as well. So join room. And now when I join the room, again, there's that little pop-up, I acknowledge. And now I have the tools that Mrs. Flock has assigned me for this national bank debate. So I can go chat with Alexander Hamilton, Thomas Jefferson. And when you click on one of the tools, I'm just going to click the rap battle. You're going to see is that it's going to interact with me first. So it says, create a rap battle between Hamilton and Jefferson. Add a topic that you're interested in to the prompt to make the rap battle more relevant to you. So I have this information about Hamilton and Jefferson. I need one more detail to make this more engaging. What's a topic that interests you? I'll connect Hamilton and Jefferson's national bank debate to your chosen topic. So I'm going to go ahead and say cheerleading because I was a cheerleading coach for 8 years. And why not? Let's turn this rap battle into a cheerleading match. So now we have round 1, Hamilton steps up. Yo, it's out. Like a cheerleading squad needs structure and formation. So it does have the inclusion of that. And now we have round 2 where Jefferson fires back, and it's now connected to my interest. I can go to my output history, and I can see and continue the thread of my rap battle if I need to, or I can just view the messages. So I am looking at the room that you guys are currently in. And I am looking to see some of the interactions. I did have a moderate flag. It was like a red one. It says 0 now, but it was Linda who said, this is so dumb. I hate this class. And so I can actually go in here and I can see where the flag occurred. I can open up that chat history and I can see flagged words, hate. I can also see, if you look at Linda's, it says that the learning progress may be distracted. It's also telling me what tools. I can also generate a summary. So I can click this purple button and also get a summary of her AI interactions. It's going to give me tools used, behavioral notes. So displayed frustration and disengagement with chat with docs, strengths and interests, gives me some things and then areas for improvement. So again, it's giving me some quick snapshots that I can use to go have a discussion with Linda. We can talk about why she hates this class. I can talk about the disengagement. Is the chat with docs the specific thing that frustrated her? You know, we can have a conversation about this and I can see all of her prompting history as well. So that is really nice. Now, I will say, I wish I could show you insights. One thing I don't love is that the insights like take like an hour to create. So you can't have those like instantaneously. So probably in about an hour after our session is over. Now, maybe it's going to prove me wrong right now. But normally it does take a while. Okay, it actually is loading some data. Oh, okay, it's loading some data. Oh, it's still missing some people. So no, it doesn't have accurate data. These are people I was testing this room with to make sure that it was going to work for today. These were from different dates, clearly. So it will take, like I said, about an hour usually for it to update. So you don't have those insights on demand for that particular piece. But you can see what students are doing pretty well, like I said, on demand. All right, so let's go ahead and move forward with how do you create your own room and share that room with the student. So there's kind of a lot going on this slide, and I apologize, but I wanted you guys to have this whenever you're back working and trying to create a room, and when we're about to do that here in just a little bit. But I think it's important that you establish what the purpose of this room is. It's nice to have these tools, but sometimes if we're not thinking about like using them intentionally, then why are we using them? So I think it's really important that we establish purpose. I suggest that you create a room by project, lesson, standard, activity, reinforcement, review, whatever it may be. This is not like a Google Classroom where you like create it and then like use it all year long and post all your things to it. To me, this is something you do by topic, or like this one, we're about to do the national bank debate, and I want you to have a strong understanding and assign tools just for this piece that will make it more effective. So think about how the different tools that are available can help you accomplish your objectives, skills, and standards. And then the next piece is pick the tools. There's like 50 tools to choose from. I did include a link to a student-facing tool guide where essentially this is Magic School's resource, but it will tell you, it has a table of contents, first of all, of some different tools that are in there in kind of the categories that they belong under. But it also gives you an explanation of what it does and tips and reminders for using that particular tool. So if you feel like you need a little bit more support, it's there. It also has a student-facing tools by subject area. So if you are a math teacher and you're like, which student tools are best for math? They have this like little one pager. So maybe you can focus on creating a room that has maybe just a couple of those. So my suggestion to you is, as a new user, or if you are a new user, that you just start with one or two tools. I put 6 in that room. I probably didn't need all 6, but 1 or 2 tools just to kind of get you started. Then the next thing is, to make these things actually be effective, we need to customize the tools. So if you're familiar with Magic School, it's pretty easy to do. You just select your grade level, and that's important so that the tools respond accordingly. And then you add your class materials to help better guide that AI bot that you're creating, essentially, to give the kind of information that you want. So in my writing tool, I attached my rubric, specific handouts, expectations, slides, your voice, whatever it may be. And I'll show you the back end of one of these tools here in just a little bit. And then you can test the tools. So just as with every AI system, you want to make sure that you're checking to make sure that these are performing as you expect. And then you're probably going to have to go back and refine your customized instructions. I had to keep going back and forth a little bit to get it just how I wanted it. That's just part of the process of AI. And then after you've done all these things, you're ready to share with students. You'll need to decide how you want to push out the room. So you could do just like a link like I did, where you just post that in Google Classroom or your student information system, however you get out links to your students. If you use Google Classroom, again, you just kind of click that and it will bring you straight to Google Classroom and have that link attached. Or you can do a QR code, which most kids, you probably don't want them having phones. They're not going to take their Chromebook and scan it. But you can do an access code where they just go to like a join URL and then enter like 5 or 6 digits, and then that will get them into the room. I will mention that if you aren't paying for MagicStudent, students are not going to be able to Google SSO. So they're not going to be able to click sign in with Google. Only if you are an enterprise level are you able to do that. So you will need to have the kids type in their own name. It's not attached to their Google account or whatever accounts you use. And I will mention that students can access their unique threads, and I'll show you how to do that. So even though they're not signing in through Google, they can still get back to a previous thread that they did like a month ago, and I'll show you how to do that. You can also have them bookmark it, like what you're doing right now. You could bookmark that. And then you're gonna have to instruct students on how to save that and where to save it. But then that bookmark should bring them back to that active session as long as the room is active. So that's another way that you can have students easily get back to their chat if you need them to. So what we're going to do is you guys are going to create a room. So if you are not in Magic School already, granted you want to exit out of My Student Room, you're going to need to go sign in as your teacher account. And then you're going to need to get into the student rooms portion. So I'm going to go ahead and click Go to Magic School. You'll have to get signed in. Once you're signed in, Magic Student is here on the left-hand side. I have my student tools. If you want to browse through them, these are all the ones you're going to be able to choose from. You can also search if you'd like. I love, as always, they have a little description as to how they work and what they do. And then you have your rooms. You're going to see I have all these different rooms, but all you're going to have to do is go to Create Room. And once you create room, you get to search through all the tools. You'll search through the tools, and that's what you're going to select. Then you're going to be able to add as many as you want. Okay. So we'll pick the tools. We'll do one together. We're going to do chat with docs. Then you customize the tools. I'm going to show you how to do it on the back end. You test the tools and then you share with students. So let me exit out for a second because I'm going to go ahead and show you how I'm going to create a chat with docs. I actually know what I'm looking for, so I'm just going to type chat with docs. So now, in typical Magic School fashion, it's got this kind of form for me to fill out. And it also has this like preview window on the other hand, or on the right-hand side. So my chat with docs example is I'm going to upload the slides for the document students are to chat with. Learning objective is I want students to be quizzed on the content of the slides. So it says upload a document and have an AI-powered chat. So document for the student to chat with. I'm actually going to upload. Let's see if I can find it. I did this the other day. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to re-download it. I'm going to download this PDF, these slides right here. And I actually can do it through Google Drive too. So I guess I could do it that way. So either way, you can upload it as a PDF or I can grab it directly from my drive. So this is the document that students are going to chat with. My learning objective is that I want students to be quizzed on the content of these slides. That's what I want them to do when they're chatting with my slides. So the slides you guys are seeing today, you're going to be able to go chat with them, or my students are going to be able to go chat with them. Okay, so my learning goal is I want students to be quizzed on the content of the slides. Additional instructions. Sorry, I'm copying and pasting. I already had this typed out. I want the chat bot, when the students are chatting, I want it to provide the responses as rhymes. Okay, just to make it more fun for my students. And I want them to give them the options of A, B, and C so it's easier to interact with. And then I'm going to tell the chatbot, don't provide an explanation of what you know at the beginning. Just start with a friendly intro. Because sometimes I don't like that the tools are like, here's what I do, and this is how I do it. I don't like that. So I'm telling him not to do that or her not to do that. And then I can, now that I've got my instructions and I have the document I want them to chat with, I can start the preview. So here we're going to see, hello there, student friend so bright. I'm here to help you learn tonight about Magic School student rooms we'll explore with rhymes and choices, knowledge galore. Let's test what you've learned from these slides so neat. Choose A, B, or C to make learning complete. So before students can use Magic Student, what must teachers check first? A, the weather forecast and lunch menu. B, district policy, data privacy agreement, and parent permission. Or C, the color of their classroom walls. C is the correct answer. And so, oh my, that's not quite right. Oh, I did the wrong answer. So now it's going to give me the correct answer isn't here. Classroom walls, though nice to see, won't help with AI policy. The answer should have been B, you see. And then if I don't want them to be giving them the answers, like keep testing them or give them a hint, I can re-prompt that. I could give it additional instructions. That's why it's really important that you test the tool. So that way, if it does something, you're like, oh, I don't want it to do that. You go back to the instructions and then you have it fix that. You can also have it read aloud to you. So students who might need that, there's this little speaker button down here, and you can actually change the read aloud voice too. And I will say when I tried this in some other ones, it wasn't working to change the voice, but you should be able to play back the response as well.
That's not quite right, I fear. The correct.
I don't know if you guys can hear that, but so it's important that you test. And now that I have this, I can save it to the room. I didn't even create a new room. Let's see, chat with Magic Student slides. Save my room. And now that I have my room, they give me the option. I'm just going to click join URL, copy. Now I can paste this and give it to my students, and now they can go chat with these slides. So that's kind of the concept of how you customize. I wanted to show you guys some of the other dashboard tools so that you can kind of know how to operate and move things and change things, edit things, share things, all the things. So in the rooms dashboard, so again, we're just talking like generic. You click on the rooms feature of the student area, you get the room status. And I wanted to show you and tell you where this is at. So the room status is there. You're going to see all mine were active. That's probably not best practice if you're actually in the classroom working with students. If they're done with the room, I would probably make it inactive. You can also lock and pause. So the room status for lock is that the students can't view anything. They can't see the tool. It just says this room is locked. If you pause it though, students can view the tools and their output history, but they can't interact with them anymore. So if you're like, I'm giving you a deadline of this to go use these tools, you're not going to have this support after this fact. I don't know if you want to create it. I'm just giving you a hypothetical here. You can actually pause it so that way they can no longer interact with the tools. Another thing to mention is that the three dots that you see in like this pink box, you can use those to edit the room details. You can share that room as a template. So if you have somebody who wants access to this, a particular room that you developed. So for example, somebody else in this room said that they are actually doing the national bank debate here in a little bit. So can I share the room? And so I gave them that template link. You can also duplicate the room. You can also archive it and more. So I want you to know if you archive a room, you can still access it and the room data, but your students cannot. So if you needed to go back to see a chat history or something, or you wanted to check it, you could, but students cannot see it anymore. I think another important thing that you might want to know is that you can add a co-teacher to a room. So this is not like sharing a template. Sharing a template is like giving them a copy of your room. If you add them as a co-teacher, they can edit the tools and view the students' outputs and their history just like you can. It's just like being a co-teacher in a Google Classroom. So to do this, you actually need to get into the room itself. So not just the room's dashboard like as a whole, but get into the specific room that you want to give a co-teacher access to. And then if you click the three dots on the upper right, you can click Manage Co-Teachers and then add that person by email, and then they will be able to manage that room with you. Some other moderating features that I think are useful to know. Again, this is if you are in the individual room itself. So this is a new nation review. When you're in the students tab, this is kind of what it looks like. You have your students, they're flagged, last message, their last tool. This is where I think it's important for you to know, especially if you don't have an enterprise account where students can sign in with Google, because if they can sign in with Google and the room is active, they're going to be able to see it. However, if you don't have that, you're on a free plan, whatever. If you click those three dots, the student join information, if I click this, it's going to give me a link that is specific to, in this example, Amanda. So it's going to bring Amanda back to her chat with whatever tools you gave her access to in all her history. So that's the student join information. So if they didn't bookmark it, or maybe like the cache got weird and it didn't save it, you can retrieve it and then like send it via email or post it to them. It is nice whenever a student might get disconnected. So that's there. A few other things up here. I told you earlier that I had a flag and it popped up instantly that this person hated my class. It popped up here, and it's also on the individual student as well. You can also preview the room as a student. This is also where you can toggle whether it's active or not, lock, pause, and so forth. And then to get your three options of inviting them via a code, via Google Classroom or via a link like we did today, you just click invite students and those options pop up. So that's kind of some moderating a room. Now let's look at a specific student. Okay, so this specific student we're going to look at is Bobby Boucher. He's my honor student. So whenever I click on him, I get to see some specific insights into his interactions. So I'm going to show you just a few things. I know I showed you some of these already, but now that we're focusing on moderation tools, in the pink here, I can generate a summary, as I showed you earlier, where it's going to give me tools used, behavioral notes. There's an initial lack of focus noted, strengths and interests, shows understanding of Hamilton's argument, enjoys creative topics like SpongeBob versus Patrick. So apparently he got off topic, so I might want to go take a look at that. And then areas for improvement, develop argumentative depth and address minor grammatical issues, encourage focus on academic topics, because clearly he was trying to talk with the chat bot about SpongeBob. So now I can use this data. I also have level of engagement. I get some data here about engagement level, minimal, high, whatever it may be. And then tool usage, that's in black. So I see he used debate partner, image generator, writing feedback, and debate partner. A few other things is when I open his, his history, I can also go into each of those individual chat threads. And then I can see on this one, the brown one that I have squared off, that there's flag content. So I can go in there and I can kind of see what was said before and after the flag. And in this particular example, he said, this is stupid, and that's what flagged. And I'm able to see that. But I'm also able to see all the other things, including images that he generated. I wanted to also show you guys that there are some starter rooms, so templates, okay? Rooms that Magic School has already created for you guys to use with students. And to get to those under Magic Student, you would click resources. I also have them linked here, but that's not very helpful if you're trying to get to them later. So you can click on my templates, that's fine to bring you straight there. But just know that this lives in the resources area. But when you click templates, you get to see all kinds of things that they've already created. So maybe you're looking for some SEL development and you need an advisory room. You can click it and you can see all the tools that they already have in there, but then you can tailor them. You can remove some of those tools. You can customize them on the back end, just like we did earlier. So you're not like stuck with what they have. You can edit any of this. It just becomes your template, your starting point, so that you don't have to start from scratch. So I'm going to encourage you, how do you follow up after this? Check out those templates and see some of the things that people are already doing. And it might give you some inspiration to create your own rooms. This is just a screenshot of how you browse the starter rooms. If you're like, yep, I want to go ahead and use that science fair buddy room, all you have to do when you click on it is say add room, and then it's going to give you all those tools. You can manage the room and then you can go in and customize. So maybe you don't need a data collection table. You could delete it. Maybe your research assistant, you want to be very specific about what it can and can't do. So you're going to click on that and you're going to be able to customize that. So templates are a great way to see what else is possible with Magic Student. You did it. We're at the end of our session. I know Linda's got some other tech tricks. So if you're interested and you kind of like this setup where you get some time to work in an hour right after school, we've got all kinds of other things. The links are there. Please feel free to reach out at any time at eflock@ltcillinois.org if you guys need anything or you need help or want me to clarify something. I really appreciate your time today and best of luck in the rest of your spring semester.
Thanks, Emily. We'll see you on the next hike.